So let me begin my message by telling you about a guy. His parents nearly broke up because of him. Authority had an arrest warrant for him. He ran away from his family for 3 days until he was caught. And he broke his mother's heart towards the end of his personal quest. And, the part, okay, there you go. So, think in your head what that guy would look like. By all sort of modern family definition, this is a very nasty kid. You think like this one, this bully, or that one, or the infamous Nelson the bully? Nope, not even close. Who is the person? Well, guess what? It's Jesus. In Matthew chapter 1, Joseph just about divorced Mary because of her pregnancy. Again, in Matthew, King Herod wanted to arrest Jesus and kill him. And in Luke, he stayed in Jerusalem for 3 days until his parents caught him. And in John, at the cross, his mother, Mary, watched him. I think that's Jesus. If Jesus' family was not so perfect, well, let alone ours. And parenting is so full of challenges and full of difficulties. And, making wise decisions, while trying to bring up kids and following God with all the priorities, all the juggling. It's not easy to be parents. And I would even speak for the kids. It's not easy to be kids either. So let's start with today's passage on Proverbs. You wonder, why do we start with Proverbs? Well, the first 9 chapters of Proverbs actually talks a lot about family and give parents practical guidelines. And just to wit, the term, my son, appears 18 times in the first 9 chapters alone, and 26 times in the whole book. And it gives practical guidelines on life, on peer pressure, on violence, and how to safeguard your marriage, and basically present a clear case of choice in front of all of us. You choose wisdom, and you gain life, just like what we have read in chapter 9, or you follow wisdom, you follow folly, and you pay for it. And so, to me, this chapter 9, is a summary of the first 9 chapters of Proverbs in parenting. You will notice in the first 8 chapters, the instructions are presented in a father-son format. My son, you should do this. My son, be careful. My son, do this. No, don't do this, right? But in chapter 9, you notice there's no such verbal instruction, no such father-son format. You see a difference. And to me, it's sort of like, okay, I've talked about parenting, wisdom, looking for wisdom for 8 chapters. I'm done with all the instruction. I'm going to switch tactic. Just like JMC, we have different station. Now switch different station. Instead of just verbal instruction, the teaching comes in a different format. It's in an invitation. Present 2 personified images. The Lady Wisdom on one hand, and the Lady Folly on the other. We read both images. And basically the idea is to tell kids or parents or people, you see, this is what you do when you follow wisdom. This is what you do when you follow folly. Case rest. You make your choice. This is the idea of the Proverbs. And let's talk about the first lady, and the wisdom, and then we have the folly. But when you compare the two, you see a lot of similarities and also a lot of contrasts. So let's talk about the similarities between these two women. So first of all, the calls are the same. They make the call from the highest point of the city. No difference. And next, who are the invitees? They are called simple. I'll talk more about it. Okay? Come, drop by. And the banquet, well, it's open. Highest point, anyone can come. And then we have the menu. You have the food, not wine, beverage, because one is wine, the other is water. And so these are the similarities. They make the same appeals to the simples, to the guests, and wait for their response. And there's one thing about the guests, like in both verses 4 and 16, they're described as simple. Also, right after that, the description is augmented by lack judgment in the same breath. So you get the idea, right? They are not really wise. Probably they have not got wisdom yet. So on the good side, because they have not got wisdom, they are open to it. So they can gain wisdom. While on the downside, they don't have wisdom. That means they are gullible. That means they are in danger. They can make the wrong choice. And in Jewish custom, when you join someone else's meal at someone else's place, that means you agree with them. It's not just a meal anymore. You form a bonding. So you follow and adopt whatever the host practice. So when you pick Lady Wisdom, you follow that path. If you pick Lady Folly, you follow that path. So talk enough about similarity. Let's talk about the contrast, the different things. So number one, the Lady Wisdom is industrious. She builds house and sort of make elaboration of banquet, right? She works hard, very active. How about Lady Folly? No preparation, just lazy, no house. Prepare meal, zip, nothing. But she is very loud. That's her characteristics. And then Lady Wisdom makes clear of the changes that the guests need to make in order to gain lives and get the benefits. Lady Folly? No, nothing about the consequences of the action. Just come here, enjoy. Right? That's what it is. Basically, there are two rival feasts hosted by two very different hostesses. And on one hand, you have Lady Folly. She's industrious, prepare the meals diligently, and does all this for the benefit of the guests. But on the other hand, you have Lady Folly. She does nothing and just sit and wait and wave you in. And when you come to think of it, do you call it a feast if it served bread and water? I don't think so. I don't think so. What kind of feast is it? Right? And secondly, she will teach her guests how to steal and deceive in verse 17. Right? Stolen water is sweet. Food eaten in secret is delicious. I'll come back to this later. This is very important. She'll give them good time. and to allow them to indulge in their sinful sort of behavior. And she would not tell them the consequences, but the guests will pay for it unknowingly. They don't know what they are waiting for them. And Eugene Peterson in the Message translated this way: they don't know about all the skeletons in her closet, that all her guests end up in hell. In addition, the similarities between the two approaches illustrate a hidden danger. Folly can be disguised as wisdom, using the same trappings and the same ways to lure simple people. And sort of just from the description, you see that the analogy is obviously in favor of Lady Wisdom. That means, people want us to choose wisdom, to choose life. And by this point, like I say, the author has presented a case. There are two choices, there are two paths. Pick the one you want. And as I've mentioned, the people who need to pay are simple. They lack judgment. Although the reasons for choosing wisdom are very compelling, not all the people will make the right choices. We all know that. Of course, the consequences can be severe in some cases and could lead to heartbreaks. So, what do you think of the two approaches? I think verse 17 really sums up Lady Foley's appeal. Stolen water is sweet, food eaten in secret is delicious. I think we have a lot of doctors, medical professionals, chemists in our midst, right? Okay, I would like to ask them two questions. Number one, is there any scientific proof that when stolen, water will suddenly have more water in it to make it sweet? That's what it says, right? Stolen water is sweet. How can it be? What's the logic behind it? Like the chemical just change? Like you just have the chemical makeup, the structure just have more glucose in it? Well, question number two. And is there any scientific proof that when hidden from light, food will suddenly have more MSG, also known as monosodium glutamate, to make it more tasty? Because, according to the Proverbs, food eaten in secret is delicious. Any answer? I hope not, because if you have answer, I'll have to change my sermon right now. So what are the reasons? What is non-scientific reasons behind of making food tastier and sweeter when it is stolen or hidden? What's that? What's the reason? Well, I have one. It's very non-scientific. Sensual desires. That's human nature, right? When you steal something, when you do something really bad, and you want to hide it, you get excitement. You get novelty. It's new. It's an adventure. That's what makes it so tasty, so sweet. Isn't it? Just human sinful nature. Because this is what we like to do versus what we should do. It's sort of like our brain. It's a tussle between, it's a tug of war between our brain telling us what we should do and our heart telling what we like to do or what we enjoy doing. And it impacts everyone. It's not just kids, it's not just parents, it's everyone. Young children, we all make choices, knowingly or unknowingly. And I would be the first to admit that, yeah, it happens to me all the time. And am I alone? No, because I know from my time, that kids, they are teenagers now, or maybe even counselors, adults, even people my age, or even people older than me, have similar struggle. And rest assured, we are not alone. Even Paul laments in Romans. So I find this law at work. Although I want to do good, evil is there with me. For in my inner being, I delight in God's law. But I see another law at work in me, waging war against the law of my mind. You see, you have the two dichotomy. My brain telling me, yeah, this is what God wants you to do it. Wait a minute, this is not what I like to do. It's going to means I have to give up something. No. Right? So you have the constant tug of war within us. And like I say, not all the choices made are the right one. There will be heartbreaks. There will be consequences. And parents too. In 2007, according to U.S. Pew Research, 70% of mothers and 60% of fathers said it is way more difficult to be parents than it was 20 or even 30 years ago. Why? Number one factor, social influence. There will be, so my kids will be influenced, they will go bad. They worry. Number two, moral parenting. Am I doing enough? Am I good parents? You have what we call the parental guilt. And last year in UK, more than half mothers who work feel guilty about leaving the children unattended, didn't spend enough time with them. And actually in 2005, there's a best-selling book, and the name is Mommy Guilt. It did a survey of over 1,300 mothers, and 96% of them responded that they felt guilty about some aspect of parenting. Like I say, this guilt. Did I spend enough time with my kids? Did I teach them well? Did they make good decision? What if they, make a bad choice? And the consequences also reach the church. And that's 2 years ago in a book, You Lost Me, is by Barna Research in the U.S. It says close to 60% of kids who go to church when they are young, just like most of you, stop to go to church when they reach 18, between 18 and 29. There are many reasons for it. It's very complex. And last year, 2 research by non-religious institutions report the same. Very low religious affiliation by the young people. And, in the book of Poster Boy, in the book of the You Lost Me, the poster child for that lost generation is none other than Katy Perry, the singer, with blue hair, not Marge Simpson. Okay? Does anyone know that she is the daughter of a Pentecostal minister? In her biography, she says, I grew up in a very restricted environment. I could not try anything. Now, after leaving church, I can do whatever I like. You can see that there's struggles. They're common, right? Adults, young people, parents, child, kids. It's also us, it's within us, and you can see it in others. There's no exception. And I'm sure it is doubly hard for the parents. Why? Because they face their own internal struggle. Oops, sorry. I should not do that. This is my little devil telling me. And also seeing the kids struggle with the same problem. Must be, heartbroken for some of them. And no wonder some parents carry a lot of guilt when things do not turn out right for the kids. So what's the winning secret, Andrew? What are you supposed to do? Well, the winning secret is in the passage that we skipped and didn't read. It's by purpose, by design. It's in verse 7 to 12. The one that you just need to pay attention to, the central theme of it is 10 to 11. Okay? And I will explain. Okay? Verse 10, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. For through wisdom your days will be many, and yours will be added to your life. Why do I say that? Well, to do that, I have to go into a little bit of the Jewish structure to do some analysis. So this is a sandwich that I believe all of you would love to have for lunch after I finish. Right? So there are 3 parts to it. Verse 1 to 6, the part about ladyfully is the bread, the one on the top. The next one, the part about the ladyfully, verse 13 to 18, is the bread down the bottom. So, just like any sandwich, the really tasty part, the one that has all the MSG, is the middle part. Meat, right? And that's 7 to 12. Why? In this structure, what we call chiasm, the 2 parallel ideas, the 2 ladies, are top and bottom. But the central theme is in the middle. And even within this 7 to 12, I have to use another sandwich. Well, because verse 7 to 9 talk about the responses to wisdom. There's the wise guy, and then the scoffer. And then verse 12 is the consequences of the responses. And in the middle, that's verse 10 to 12, 10 to 11. So I guess we are all going to the Subway for lunch. Okay, so you get it. So fear of the Lord. So is it really the secret? The secret sauce? It is. It is. Because the term is used 14 times in Proverbs. Fear means accountability. And think about it. Adam and Eve, back in Genesis, part of the reason for their sinning is the devil promised something, right? That God said, hey, when you do it, you shall die, certainly die. And what did the devil say? You will not certainly die. So, wow, I can do what I like without the consequences. Bingo! This basically is in human nature. We want to do what we want to do, what we like to do, without any consequences. To me, I don't care about others, but no consequences to me. Woohoo! Easy. Someone say, living in a fool's paradise is great fun until the rent comes due. Right? And actually, in a Time magazine, it's published in October 2012, and the title is Why the Teen Brains is Drawn to Risk. It's quite fascinating, and it's pretty related to what the biblical concept. The researcher report that teens' perception of risk is different from that of adults. We all know that. You don't have to tell them, right? Okay, so what's so different? While teens' notorious risk-taking behavior stem from their greater tolerance to uncertainty and ambiguity, that is, unknown risks. They focus more on rewards instead in those cases. And the researcher sort of quipped, relative to adults, adolescents engage more in unknown risks than they do in known risks. Teens, it seems, love the unknown because it is an adventure. Can you recall verse 7? Why is stolen water sweet and food hidden has more MSG? It's an adventure. It's new. It's excitement. So I think, in a sense, I think the two talk about similar things. And just want to conclude. This chapter 9 may be viewed as a kind of an either-or. You choose either wisdom or you choose either folly. Applies to everyone. Adults, teens, parents, grandparents, grandkids. A summon to decision has been issued to the reader and to all of us. Both wisdom and folly will make their appeals in chapter 9 to the simple people, those who need to live by wisdom, but also who are most easily influenced by folly. If people are rational and make their selection based on the future, the benefits, the decision should be easy. But human is not rational. We have sinful nature. We like to do things, high risk. It's adventure, it's excitement. If you want to choose a life of understanding, we need to embrace wisdom. Otherwise, choosing folly will only bring ruins and destruction eventually. So, what say you? What say you? Decision time. So, just in closing, Proverbs is a book about wisdom and how to gain life by pursuing it. Chapter 9 lays out the foundation, the two different paths, the path of wisdom or the path of folly. In this metaphor, using a personified figures. The appeals are similar, but the choices are totally different. The choices are laid out clearly in front of us. Do we follow what God's word says, or do we do what we like, even sometimes against God's teaching? The choice is ours, but we can make wise decisions by learning to fear God more. And at this point, I would like to quote Eleanor Roosevelt. She says, "One's philosophy is not best expressed in words. It is expressed in the choices one makes. In the long run, we shape our lives and we shape ourselves. The process never ends until we die, and the choices we make are ultimately our responsibility." Thank you.